Well, I already. Oh, and now more men are gonna be
Why is everyone piling in here at the last second? What?
laughing at me. So
Dude, look at the. Okay, so this is what I mean. This is very weird. They're having a guest over ostensibly for an interview, and then like right as she gets irritated, they bring in their lads, and one of them's doing this like he's like a 16-year-old doing like a Discord meme or something, where he's like, "Yeah, getting in here." Like, what the fuck are you doing? What is this?
Yeah,
there's
go.
no reason for me to be in that. Well, I already. Oh,
Yeah,
and
we
now more men
owned
are gonna be
her.
laughing at me. So
Yeah.
no, this is not working for me. So
What is
this is how I
this?
feel.
I saw the fallout of this happening on Twitter. So this is the Revolutionary Blackout channel. This is it's like socialist MMA and some other people, socialism MMA. It's like the Black Revolutionary Network, where they achieve radical revolutionary change for black people by complaining about the squad and saying that Russia was justified in invading Ukraine and so on and so forth. Is Marianne no longer base? Marianne left this interview 20 minutes early. And I want to see why, okay? That's why I'm here. This whole video is only 33 minutes long.
What a great episode. This is gonna be a fun one. I am here with my RBN sister, Nick and Savvy. We don't see this often. What's poppin', Savvy? Maybe let's make sure you're muted, Savvy. There we go. Go ahead.
Hey, Nick.
What's popping, guys? So I'm gonna get right
What? Hey, what?
into it. I will welcome our guest, former presidential candidate, author, writer. Thank you for joining us on the Revolutionary Blackout, Marianne Williamson.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Hi, Savvy. Nice to see you again.
Hey, nice to see you. I know it's been a minute.
It has, but I see you sometimes, and I saw you.
I feel like 1.25 times speed is a little bit too fast. I'm just going to go to normal. Playback speed custom? Wait. Oh, wait, you can do it here? It natively in YouTube? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I thought it only let you go 1.25, 1.5, 1.75. But you can adjust it by 0.05 increments by going custom. That did not used to be there.
Once, and I heard you say something like, well, I'll try to have her on. I sort of felt like, well, text me right now. I expected to hear from you then.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate you coming on and taking the time. We are extremely critical of efforts in running in the Democratic Party, and that's why.
Yeah, I know. I've noticed.
Yeah, you probably have seen some criticisms that we have.
Yeah. Of course I have.
On rumors of you running, because I don't think it's official yet. And I want to pose this question to you, and then we can have. I usually have a free-flow conversation, but I have a few questions. Then Savvy will jump in with some questions as well. I worked on the Bernie campaign, quit my job.
Yeah, so to give you guys a feel for this quote-unquote network here, it's composed entirely of the kinds of people who basically literally basically make the Candace Owens like Black Plantation argument, like black people need to leave the Democrat like Republican duopoly and vote for a third party, which functionally means black people need to not contribute their votes to Democrats and help Republicans win. Marianne Williamson fully exposed Aaron Mate interview. This is the literal Russian state agent who defends their invasion of Ukraine. Do something. $10 million MLK penis statue is no accident. It's a cunnilingus statue, not... Okay. The Bernie Sanders Industrial Complex, a.k.a. the White Left Media Industrial Complex, tries to force Marianne Williamson on workers. Oh, there's Brianna Joy Gray. I know her. Ukraine flag liberals meltdown. God. The squad hated Hakeem, then voted for him. Now Hakeem Jeffries is pushing an anti-choice judges. You guys get the dealio. That's me! Bad faith hosting unserious Vaush. Classified docs hold secrets of the crime of imperialism. That's true.
A lot of labor hours into the Bernie campaign. I know I had so many conversations, met with people, talked with people who was broke, struggling, who was still donating money to the Bernie campaign. $100 million spent by the working class on the Bernie campaign. And what did we get? We got a guy in a movement who threw away his political revolution, who abandoned his outside game, and what I consider $100 million thrown in the drain. Now
he did lose his primary. That is true. That is how politics works. Sometimes you run and you lose in the primary. That can happen.
Now, what we got by investing that kind of money is literally PR agents of the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders is a war pig who's funding war. They are apologizing for the same things they used to criticize Trump for. So I see that as a massive waste of the working class money to do that again.
By
Especially
war pig, what they mean is supporting Ukraine in its defense against the fascist imperial Russia trying to conquer their territory and put their people into mass graves. He's upset with the prevention of Ukrainian citizens being raped.
someone running in the Democratic Party and someone I view as being a little bit too soft on Biden Democratic Party. So I'm gonna ask you, why do you think people should invest in your campaign considering what we already wasted?
Well, I think much of what you said is a legitimate argument. I think there are a lot of legitimate points to be made here. One of the times I saw you, Sabby, you were mentioning something that I had said about running as a Democrat and being nostalgic for the Democratic Party of FDR. And you
I do want to say, by the way, that while Marianne Williamson definitely fits in the category of people who I think have poor political instincts, and she does trend a little bit more towards the like ephemeral, if only we could look above the system and vote with our hearts bit bullshit, then I'm comfortable with. I actually think she's a really nice lady. I genuinely do. She's not a grifter. I think she is legitimately on point with like in her beliefs. And even though I don't agree with everything she believes, like I don't think she's fallen into this weird media industrial complex of grifting off of moving people away from the Democratic Party in a nominally progressive way.
you said on your show, oh, Marianne, that Democratic Party doesn't exist anymore. Well, you're right, actually. And that's why I was hoping you were actually going to write. I almost want to say, well, let me on it, because you're right. And I certainly understand someone your age, you haven't even seen that Democratic Party, whereas I at least have some institutional memory. My point to that is, so the corporatist Democrats would say to progressives that we're trying to hijack the party. They hijack the party. Now, your argument seems to be, then don't even give any money or anything to do with the Democratic Party. I can see that argument. But to me, there's another argument which aligns with my view more, which is, first of all, I don't agree that Bernie Sanders made no difference. Medicare for All is now a mainstream issue in a way that it would never have been had he not.
Yeah, people who got into politics recently don't understand this, but a ton of the political discourse today, even ones Republicans are willing to bite into, was normalized by Bernie Sanders. It is because of Bernie Sanders that even Republicans are careful when they talk about the minimum wage. They used to not be. He single-handedly moved the entire Democratic platform between 2016 and 2020 over to him, and even Republicans now have to be more careful when it comes to populist messaging.
Run. The whole idea of the egregious gap between the functioning of this government and advocacy for the working people of the United States, I don't think would be in the mainstream dialogue the way it is had Bernie Sanders not run for president. And I also think and once again, I'm not saying you should do it, but I do say if all of us say to hell with the Democratic Party and just leave, then you're going to have two. Already we have a corporate duopoly. Already we have a situation. We have one party completely bought and sold by the corporatists. We have another party which tries to have it both ways. But if we all leave, then you've got two major parties doing that. So I simply submit that it is as legitimate, those of us who feel like working within the Democratic Party, as those working out. To me, the break.
You guys stop revolutionary energy. So
Speaking of revolutionary energy, just remember that what she's talking about right here was written about by Vladimir Lenin when he talked about the British Labour Party, and when Marx talked about the American political system. They both believed very strongly in the value of, obviously, you maintain a revolutionary front, but you work within the parties most accepting of you or closest to you, and use them as a soapbox to normalize your positions. Always remember that at the end of the day, whether we're talking a democratic system, a authoritarian system, anything, political movements are built off of public support. The more people you have on your side, the better. And you can't get them to your side if you're only operating within hyper-niche, ideologically pure lefty outlets, because nobody fucking listens to them. You need to be able to talk to CNN. You need to be able to talk from the DNC platform. Only by reaching large numbers of people can you even hope to normalize your positions.
Working class, we only have a finite amount of resources. We're not like the corporations. So neoliberals and the conservatives, they can spend endless amount of money on this cash. That $100 million is $100 million that not going.
Yeah, but that was not, that was a working person who gave $5 or gave $10, or I would argue that many people I know who are working people who gave $5 or $10 feel that that money went towards Bernie being able to put on the stage the ideas that he did. I feel the same way about my talking about reparations.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And Bernie abandoned his outside movement. Like, we had marches for Medicare for All that we couldn't get the people to tweet about. And Medicare for All as a movement within the Democratic Party.
The Medicare for All march he's referring to was the one done, I think, 1.5 years ago by Jimmy Dore and his crowd. This was the one where they had multiple far-right speakers who were lined up as prominent speakers, and Jimmy Dore spent like 3 hours talking to 100 cameras and 101 people about how the the squad has betrayed them by not showing up here at this small niche rally that had like incredibly uncoordinated and problematic construction. So I know enough about the like grift these guys pull to like know what they're talking about. So just to inform you guys, there was like a scandal after scandal about far right people being brought on stage there.
Party is dead, and Bernie killed the revolutionary energy needed while people was asking and demanding Medicare for All by now telling people that the Democratic Party and Biden is okay. Biden said he would veto Medicare for All. There's not even a discussion on the public option. So there's no argument to be made that we've gone forward on the healthcare issue. We have gone backwards because now you got progressives, DSA, sheep herding people to the Democratic Party that would never give you Medicare for All.
Well, I think we have gone forward in terms of a mainstream conversation. Listen, I'm not here as Bernie Sanders' PR agent, and you have your views and I have mine. And I think that's really what this is all about. None of us have a monopoly on truth. I think all of us have pieces of it. Truth is a kaleidoscope to me. And, you know,
I just want to.
I want to get you in on this.
You can tell right away that Marianne Williamson's really uncomfortable with this conversation because she's recognizing the tone here a little bit, where it's not about like constructive engagement, and this guy just has like the same laundry list of grievances with the Democratic Party that he wants to share, and she just has to listen to all of them, you know?
I just want to ask a follow-up to that because I want to make sure I asked the original question, because I didn't want you I wasn't trying to put you on the back heel defending Bernie. The question is like, why after that investment, seeing how disappointing these politicians and some of those people you still apologize for, why should we make that?
Wait, before you say some of those you still apologize for, who am I apologizing for?
Like, Bernie has been a massive disappointment. So what I'm saying, like, even if you don't run, because that's just a rumor, our criticism is running.
See, like, look at this.
Within the Democratic Party and wasting resources and energy that should be spent on third parties and outside mutual aid organizations. So my question is, why should people invest in your campaign after seeing the waste that I would consider a waste, after seeing him support war, being responsible for Raytheon and Boeing making record profits? That's a waste.
So again, war, Raytheon and Boeing making record profits, that's defending Ukraine against a fascist invasion by supporting them with a tiny fraction of our yearly military budget.
He did not do what we sent him to do. So why should people invest in that same?
Well, first of all, that's your view. I don't even see Bernie exactly as you do. But if I run, people should hear what I say. And if they believe what you believe, then they shouldn't vote for me. This is a democracy. This is what a democracy is about. You have your view. I have my view. And I don't think, there's a saying in AA, attraction, not promotion. I'm not going to be trying to manipulate anybody into seeing it the way I see it. I'm going to put out what I believe, and people will do what they want to do. And I think in terms, particularly those of us who are aligned on so many issues, we shouldn't let the fact that we see things differently in this area or that area keep us from working towards a cohesive movement that would be a fundamental economic reform in this country.
Yeah, thank you.
So Marianne, you mentioned reparations. That's one of the questions that I had is, a while back we had this discussion about reparations. I think you educated a lot of people when you came on to talk about that. And since then, I've talked about it every now and then here and there, and other people have come on that are reparations.
She's just calling them drama mongers because at the end of the day, politically, that is what they are. It's an entire like cottage industry of people who make money off of like henpecking every best chance that we have, every solution we have, because it's not good enough. And then when they're asked, like, okay, well, what's your solution? They propose the most retarded shit you've ever heard in your life. Like, they either don't give an answer at all, and they do that Andrew Yang thing of like, oh, well, I'm not here to give answers. I'm here to, promote the system or to criticize or whatever. Or they back, they back away into like some preposterously ineffective LARPy bullshit that would never do anything, but it makes the money. So
reparations activist, trying to push for that as well. In 2020, for your presidential campaign, that was like your number one issue. And so I'm curious, if you do decide to run in 2024, will that still be your number one issue? And if so, how will you persuade the segment of the progressive or the left per se that is against reparations? Because when I do have these discussions on my show, I notice the audience is like 50-50, like 50% is for it and the other 50% is like, no, don't talk about it because it's divisive. How will you persuade those progressives that are against reparations?
You know, if I run, the governing principle, the governing strategy is to say what I think needs to be said. It's like I was just saying to Nick, it's not about persuading. It's I'm going to say what I think. And I'm going to say what I would do if I were president. And then you either vote for me or not. I'm submitting the belief that this country cannot move forward without healing our past. I submit that there is a debt that is owed. I submit that we have, you know, we had 250 years of slavery. We had, except for the 12 years of Reconstruction, another 100 years of institutionalized suppression of Black people in the American South. I probably talked to you before, Sabby, on your show about how I've had the experience many times with white audiences feeling there's such undereducation that when they really see it, they go like, yeah, right? I believe that that's the job of a president and of a candidacy, to put something out there as a kind of huge bully pulpit. And now we had in the 1960s, we had the Voting Rights Act, which has been gutted. We had the Civil Rights Act. I think that if King had lived, and if either Johnson or Humphrey had been president next, I think there's a good chance they would have gotten to the third piece that's necessary, and that's economic remuneration. And until we do, we will be handing this toxic baton one generation to the next. The chances of, see the value of the fact that I'm not from that system, the chances are so minuscule that I would become president. There's nothing to keep me from saying what I really believe, whether somebody agrees with me or not. I believe we owe reparations. If part of the left doesn't like it, it's no different than my beliefs about anything else. Somebody doesn't like it, it's not. I'm a grown woman. I'm going to say what I believe needs to be said. I'm going to hear other people's opinion, because sometimes, none of us have a monopoly on truth, and I might be changed. But I don't see my opinion.
I keep thinking, like, I'll pause when she's done talking, but she's kept talking. I just want to say I do like her attitude a lot in this.
Being changed on reparations, because to me it's a moral issue, it's a spiritual issue, it's a psychological issue, as well as an economic issue. And I would love nothing more than to be the president who says we don't need another commission to gather evidence. We know the evidence. Let's sit down, let's do some negotiation, let's get this done. The very thought is so exciting to me, it's worth running for president.
So knowing what I know, and I haven't seen this, so I'm not pre-watching, but knowing what I know, that was a good answer, and I feel like this guy now has to find a way to turn this around into, okay, well, you say all of that, but you're still a hypocrite because you haven't personally raped any Ukrainians, Like, he has to make this now. Okay, well, you come out here with your progressive liberal affectations, but you haven't demonstrated your allegiance to the cause by doing a war crime in the Donbass.
I'll pass it to Nick.
Great question, Sadie. Reparations is something that I'm very passionate about. That's something that I gave props to you before as well. And that's actually kind of to the tweet that I mentioned before. But it's good to be good on the issues of reparations. The problem is the Democratic Party would never, ever give us that without this kind of struggle. And that's why
I'm sorry.
No, I want to hear from you. Go ahead.
Well, unless we elect more progressives. This struggle that you're talking about of suppressing progressive voices on the presidential level, as I'm sure you realize, occurs the same way on the congressional level. They suppress on the primary. Look what they did to Nina Turner. Even the Progressive Caucus didn't support her. Even the Black Caucus didn't support her. So that corporatist element suppressing progressive voices in the Democratic Party occurs on the congressional level, just like it does on the president. And the only way to override that is through a massive political revolution at the ballot box. So where you take that to go third party, that makes me say we got to get in there. And I don't think either of us is wrong. I just think we have to do everything, whatever our gut says, our heart, go for it. That's how I
love
see
the
this.
energy, and I never dissuade people for taking it.
So in terms of like the value of running with the Dems versus third party, and this is what Bernie Sanders understood, okay? If you're somebody like Marianne Williamson, you have no shot at being president. That's a fact. She acknowledges it. That's fine. That doesn't mean there's no value in you running. If only the people who had the 100% shot at being president would run, then that's not even democracy. The point is that you have choices. The thing is, though, if you run for third party right now, you essentially get like no voice. Like the Green Party has their primaries, and then what? How many speeches did you hear from what, Howie Hawkins or whatever his name was? Like how much airtime do you think that got? How many views? How viral did those clips go? What you saw were the Republican and Democrat primaries. Yeah, Jill Stein, yeah. You saw the primaries between the two major parties' respective candidates. Meaning that if you're even a small candidate, Marianne Williamson, what was that guy's name? The guy with the very silly face who ran in the Democratic primaries in 2020. He was pretty muscular, short, kind of chunky, looked gorilla-esque, balding. Come on. He was like a meme. He was meme bait. Delaney on slide. Was it him? Yes! This man. Even a guy like this, who I'm guessing for a lot of you, you haven't even thought about him or seen him since 2020. He was able to go up there on the Democratic primary stage and be seen by tens of millions of people making his points. Marianne Williamson, the same. That's the point of running with the Democrats specifically as opposed to the third party. Even if in neither case you have a chance to win, with the Democrats, if you do well enough, you have enough of a shot, you get up there on the big stage next to, say, Joe Biden, next to Bernie Sanders, and you get to make points that'll be heard by everyone. No, Chief Ken, Marianne really has her head in the game. I like her a lot. You know, I disagree with her on some stuff. I think she's naive on a couple of points, and I don't think she's like a perfect lefty whatever. But honest to God, authenticity and a sincere desire to serve the public good are so rare in politics that when I see them, I have to respect them.
In their shots. And I always say that our focus should be 15% electoral politics, not that much. That 15% is organizing for stuff like reparations and class wins. I have a theory. I'm not sure if I'm 100% right, like we all say, but I have a theory that, especially with, as you said, Black Caucus, Democratic Party, all these neoliberals that are against reparations, there is no way that as a Black community, we are getting what we want.
So note, by the way, and this is one of the framing things they do constantly, you will notice, and Brianna Joygray did this as well, that they will constantly, whenever they talk about the failures of the Democratic Party, they will only talk about the Democrats. Notice how he just said neoliberals oppose reparations. Is there another group we might be missing out on here? It was like how Brianna Joygray was trying to make the point that Joe Biden isn't better than the Republicans because he fronted the crime bill. Who voted for the crime bill? Like the idea like Republicans were morally opposed to it, you know? It's really, really, really silly. There's this like constant, like it's like, well, you think the Democrats are good? You think the Democrats, we should side with the Democrats? Democrats aren't even for reparations. And meanwhile, like in Florida, DeSantis is like sharpening the guillotine that he's going to put all the critical race theory professors up to.
Want politically through the two-party duopoly. We are 13% of the population.
Didn't the majority of Black Americans even support the crime bill? Everyone supported the crime bill. Everyone did. Like, what were hold on, Joe Biden, crime bill, vote, 1994, the Violent Crime, I didn't remember the full name, Violent Crime Control Law Enforcement Act of 1994, Congress votes. In the Senate, want to guess what it passed by? Seriously, type out number to number with a total equaling 99 because that's how many votes there were. What do you think? How many yeses? 95-4. 95-4. Who are the four? Who voted against crime bill senators? The no votes, we have yays. The no were Durenberger, Republican, Minnesota. Or is that Montana? I actually forget which MN is. RMN. Feingold, Democrat, Wisconsin. Hatfield, Republican, Oregon. Simon, Democrat, Illinois. So it was actually 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans who voted against. Everyone else voted yes. No, Bernie voted for it because attached to the crime bill was the Protecting Violence Against Women Act.
And both parties wedged that. They wedged that against us. And we voted for the Democratic Party at a 90% rate every single year. So they don't even run on our issues. Everyone else get their issues except ours. Yeah. The only theory I have of change in terms of electoral politics, which I wouldn't put that much stock in, the only theory of change that makes sense to me if as Black people and our allies, we form third parties, and then we force the politicians to
Bernie wasn't a, oh yeah, he was in the House at the time, but he did vote for it.
carve that support. So if you lose an election as a Democrat because you lost the Black vote, I guess the next candidate has to run on reparations then, right? So that's why third parties have to be a leveraging tool of our community who gets nothing. Under the Biden administration right now, Black Americans are weak. Our community has been destroyed. The police is stronger than ever.
So again, like this like indicates a level of political illiteracy that should like get you fired out of a cannon if you make money off of politics. The Black community in America overwhelmingly votes for the Democrats. Third parties in our system have objectively, mathematically no chance of winning. So the basic question is like, okay, if Democrats don't run on reparations, then the Republicans get to win who won't do reparations. So in a binary where you have Democrats or Republicans and neither will give you reparations, he's saying that the Democrats will reform their strategy if you have the Republicans run for 4 years. First of all, considering the fact that Republicans are currently trying to destroy our democracy and literally do like coup shit, that this is like an unacceptable answer. Anything that leads to Republicans winning is unacceptable if you are a leftist, a socialist, a progressive, a leftist, even a neoliberal. There is any outcome which any kind of leverage, any kind of pressure you apply, anything that has the consequence of even temporarily empowering Republicans is unacceptable, no sell, dead end, right there. However, because I'm not stupid, I understand that even if that wasn't the case, after 4 years of Republicans, you think Black Americans are going to like once again leverage their votes based on whether or not Democrats will offer reparations? No. What we saw from 4 years of Trump is people will lower their expectations for Democrats if Republicans have had time in power. And the reason for that is because after Republicans have spent some time in power, Democrats will choose anyone at all who will just end the Republican control of our government. And that's the reason why Joe Biden ended up being the electability candidate in the 2020 primaries. The idea that you can like force or leverage a giant political party to change their position on something by voting against them and not letting them win is idiotic and not how this works. You actually change how they operate from within by changing what's electorally favorable inside their party. And the best way to do that is to demonstrate that progressives can get a ton of public support within their party. Like seriously, what lesson do you think Democrats are going to learn if they see progressives running in Democrat races do poorly? What lesson do you think they're going to learn from that? Capitulate to progressive values? Oh, yeah, they're totally going to bite the bullet on reparations after watching a bunch of progressive candidates fail because the dipshit Revolutionary Blackout Network was encouraging their followers to not vote or contribute any money to those progressive causes. It's very, very stupid. Sorry, but participating within electoralism is not an like an optional thing when the system you're operating in is fundamentally electoral.
We get nothing going through the strategy. So with 50, this is my question. 50% Americans said they're ready for a third party. So we need that spark. We need something that will start that. So we need people that is willing to run third party to start this spark. So I want to ask you this, like, what is your objection towards doing that, if there is one?
Well, first of all, there was a lot of teeth in the first things that you said. This issue of the Democratic Party being taken for granted, Black America being taken for granted by the Democratic establishment. But I would argue that you would, if Black America wanted to say to the Democratic establishment, don't take us for granted, voting for someone like me would be as effective as voting for someone in a third party, because you're still outside the context of the corporatists who are running.
That's true. Notice how the entire Democratic platform shifted leftward after Bernie Sanders ran and lost as a Democrat. If you want to get the Democratic platform pushed left, then you need to show them that there is value, that they can get votes by doing that. They moved over to the left when Bernie Sanders, worked within the primaries. That right there is actually how you move their platform left. And, people don't understand this, but Joe Biden is legitimately a good bit better than Obama on a lot of issues. That doesn't mean he's good or progressive or whatever else, but I expected him to just be more Obama, but he's not. He is, you know, a bit better. If you go back to like 2008 to 2010 Obama, he's actually a lot better, you know. Time has moved forward. You know, we've moved on.
Running on the same old, same old. Bernie Sanders, despite the things that you said, many of which were true, did come within striking.
I believe in Bernie, but go ahead. I'm just saying it was disappointing, man. But sorry, go ahead, Barry.
I understand, and I understand. I get it. I totally get it, and I agree with that. Bernie Sanders came within striking distance of the presidency. You know, the way I look at it, and once again, I don't think this is really an issue of right or wrong. This is an issue of a lot of ways to look at it, and everybody having to find where they feel their skill set can be most helpful. Bernie, if I run, and I run as a Democrat, it's going to be very inconvenient for the Democratic establishment. They will want to invisibilize me. But if I run as a third-party candidate, it will be so easy to do that. I feel that if I'm in there, I can get in there. I can say, Joe Biden, you got to debate me. I can go in there. I can put these things on the table. So yeah, I think there need to be vital third-party efforts. I don't think that I'm the one to do that. And by the way, too, phenomenal mysticism. Marianne Williamson is ultra uncomfortable during this interview. You can feel it. No, I'm not.
Whoa. Marianne Williamson is reading chat? Oh my God, dude. I would already be so uncomfortable. Like talking to Marianne Williamson, just because, like, you know, presidential candidate before, like a lot going on, a lot of weight there. And then I realized she's reading chat, and like there are people in chat. She like raises an arm to make a point. There are people in chat going like the sniff Wojak with like the brap going into their nose or whatever, and they're all like ooga ooga ooga, like posting or whatever. And like I just know her eyes are panning over it the entire time.
I just want to jump in really quick and say, why not? Like I've kind of changed the focus, at least like on my show, to focus more so on local politics, because in reference to the progressive policies and progressive issues, I've seen them pass on the local level. So I'm kind of fortunate. Right. I'm in Massachusetts. We've passed a lot of these things, the $15 minimum wage, the wealth tax. We've already passed a lot of those issues, but I've also seen red states pass those issues as well, Marianne.
Like Kansas with the abortion thing recently. That's where ground zero is now. Is on local and state. Absolutely.
Exactly. So looking back at it, I look at people like some of the members of the squad, and I feel that people like Cori Bush, AOC, I feel like they actually would be more effective on the local level. They went into Congress, they went into the swamp, and they're obviously heavily controlled by Democratic leadership. That's one of the issues that Dennis Kucinich had. That's one of the issues that Cynthia McKinney had, is that they call the shots. Why not run for something on the local level, or is that something that you have considered?
If I woke up one morning and I got...
You'd want to do both?
I'm going to run for city council. I'd run for city council. I'm interested in changing the conversation in this country. And there is no platform for changing the national conversation like a presidential candidacy. And I am fortunate in that I do have, being an author, having a national audience, I feel that my greatest contribution is to bring up certain topics that are not convenient to the system.
You can get a feel for the average IQ of their audience too with the donations that come in. Like, even if I was talking to someone who disagreed with me, if I got donations rolling in, they would be like asking me to make arguments or criticizing certain points. But all these like troglodytes can do is pound their fists against the table and go like, we're in the in group, she's in the out group, we get it, like that, you know what I mean? It's all conspiracy bullshit. It's all like, we're the special few that understand the system and see it for what it is, man. And she's not. So you get this very low IQ bleeding.
To talk about genuine fundamental economic reform that, as Nick has pointed out, is not now occurring. The larger dynamic of American history, the aberrational chapter of the last 50 years, and the massive theft from the middle class and the poor in this country. I feel the way I can make the most powerful impact to make that case, to say it in a way that matters.
Never blue, no matter who. Highly serious, highly progressive community here. Literally no candidate, no matter how progressive, will get their vote if Democrat. Very smart, very high level analysis here. I bet you anything that they constantly post about like the right outflanking the left in the Republican Party.
if it would be to run, if in fact it feels like I can run. If I can't put together enough of a campaign to give it enough heft, then I won't do it. That's the period I'm in now, is discerning that. But that's what I want to do. I want to help upgrade the national conversation in the direction of justice.
Marianne, I know you only have around 20 minutes or so. I appreciate your time. Any final question that you have, Sabi? Any final thoughts or any last words you have before we send you off? Sabi, go ahead.
Just one about foreign policy, because this is an area where the president can act alone and doesn't necessarily need the approval of Congress. So I'm curious to hear your feelings and your thoughts about the war between Russia and Ukraine right now. Like, how would you respond if you were president of the United States? And also in reference to Israel and Palestine, how would you respond in those particular?
More tanks to Ukraine, more tanks to Palestine. Same policy, both countries. Let's go.
Situations.
So why don't we do Israel and Palestine? Okay. Israel and Palestine is it's really bad right now. Netanyahu's new government is the most extreme far-right government that's ever been in the history of that country. As bad as it has always been, really, for the Palestinians. Now, everything's worse. It's a real anti-democratic authoritarian direction. And it absolutely must be confronted. Clearly, the occupation a prolonged occupation like this is against international law. Clearly, the settlements are against international law. Clearly, international law says that if you do occupy territory, then you must use the resources of that territory for the benefit of the people. Biden seems to have kind of taken a hands-off approach at this point, and the American president must stand up more forcefully. The United States, to me, the moral mission statement.
It was smart of her to focus on the Israel-Palestine stuff first. Considering they could probably find some agreement there.
Of the United States is the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal. Obviously, the whole idea is to expand that franchise. It doesn't just mean white people, it also means black people. It doesn't just mean men, it also means women. It doesn't just mean straight, it also means LGBTQ. And I think we need to recognize that doesn't just mean Americans. So to me, the United States foreign policy, as well as our domestic policy, when it comes to Israel and Palestine, we should have equally robust support for both the security and the human rights of both people. The only way to do that at this point is through a two-state solution. Now, I understand that some people would say that a two-state solution is dead, then we need to resurrect it, because the only answer to that is a situation that is, everything else is untenable. So the American president should stand up. I think this is one area, to be honest, where I think Obama did make an effort. And he's unpopular with a lot of people there for that reason, to be honest. But I think he did make an effort to bring the Palestinian issue.
She's buying time by answering the other question. Yeah. Why is he shaking his head? Because a two-state solution is actually a thing that could conceivably possibly happen, which means that he opposes it. Anything that could actually happen or improve the world, they're opposed to. Because that would deny them the ability to like sit back and critique in favor of a better solution that doesn't exist. The idea of some kind of like unilateral one state, like Palestine dominated, it's not going to happen. It's just not. You can hope for it. You can say it would have been better. That's nice. I wish everything was perfect all the time, but that's not an option at the moment. What's a two-state solution? I'm lost. A two-state solution would be recognizing the official statehood of Palestine and giving them the legal and material ability to draw a border with Israel and distinguish themselves. So it would mean that there would be two states next to each other, two-state solution, as opposed to one state, which is kind of like a unified Israel-Palestine. Or some people, when they say one-state solution, they mean like kick all the Israelis out, which is an insane position, cannot happen and will not happen, and there's no point in even talking about it.
Issue onto the table in a way that it had not been before within the major political dialogue in America. And I would certainly seek to do that. I also think, if I might say, because I'm a Jewish woman, I think that I would have actually some moral authority in doing that. My support for Israel should not be at the expense of my Jewish values. And as an American, my support for Israel should not be at the expense of my democratic values. Right now it's becoming that way, and that's a problem.
Marianne, I appreciate the answer, but I talked to the Palestinian Community Network, got a lot of Palestinian allies. They will not find that to be an acceptable answer. It's one
Well, I
state.
don't know.
They
I don't know.
have one state where everyone have equal rights under the law. The Israel Zionists are not to be trusted to implement a two-state solution. Has that been shown many?
As opposed to a one-state solution, which the Israel Zionists can be trusted to acquiesce power to. Not to mention, like, hold on. Population of Israel is 9 million. Population of Palestine is 5 million. Meaning that even if you created a one-state solution, there would still be a 2-to-1 demographic bias in favor of Israelis' voting preferences. Now, you could federalize stuff and keep it sort of locally determined, but eventually you need to like get around to electing the federal government, and that would be like Israel favored, and that's preferable to two states. Again, like, his only job here is to bitch about actual things that can be done. Like I said, this has nothing to do with improving the world. It is entirely about just getting to be on the sidelines and cross your arms and make money from smugly denouncing other people who are trying their best.
Many times. So I hope you have conversations with Sunni Palestinians. That's a hard one.
Well, wait a minute. Wait. No, let me speak.
I just want to also you can respond to that as well, but because I know you have limited time, because also
Okay, I would like a chance to respond.
Yeah, go ahead, and I want to ask you about Ukraine. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I would say to you is, when you say you have a lot of Palestinian friends, how many Palestinian friends you have? I have a lot of Palestinian friends. You say you've talked to Palestinians. I have talked to Palestinians. So I don't think we have a contest here of you're telling me you know Palestinians and I don't. So that doesn't work for me.
Okay?
That was a full-on debate bro refutation right there. That right there was like an actual, like, I am familiar with this this anecdotal reference strategy, and I will quickly rebuke it. Yeah, that was good. Oh yeah, total Vaushite over here, 100%.
Okay. So the point is, right now, see, if you're not gonna let me talk, honey, there's no point in this.
Oh, she does watch my content.
If you're not gonna let me talk, to the things you say, then there really is no point.
We are having the conversation.
No, we're not. No, we're not. You're doing a lot of mansplaining here, and you're telling me what is. You're not.
See, that's not my. I should use that though. I should have a converse. I should say that while arguing with a woman. I should have said that to BJG. 100%. Oh, okay. I'm learning from her.
You're asking me and then not giving me a chance to respond. So there's no reason for me to be in that. Well, I already. Oh, and now more men are gonna be laughing.
Why is everyone piling in here at the last second? What?
At me. So,
dude, look at the. Okay, so this is what I mean. This is very weird. They're having a guest over ostensibly for an interview, and then like, right as she gets irritated, they bring in their lads, and one of them's doing this like he's like a 16-year-old doing like a Discord meme or something, where he's like, "Yeah, getting in here." Like, what the fuck are you doing? What is this?
There's no reason for me to be in that.
Yeah, we owned her. Yeah.
So, no, this is not working for me. So
this
is how I feel. I do believe there should be equally robust support for both Palestinians.
See, is this just an open call you have here?
And Israelis. There is not now in American policy, and that must change. That is what I will say.
Do you support BDS? Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, do you support BDS, Marianne?
I would not personally. Anybody should be able to boycott what they want. I would boycott things that come from the settlements, because the settlements, I think boycotting stuff from the settlements makes sense to me. Overall, the problem I have with boycotts anywhere is often it is who it hurts. It hurts Israeli citizens. It didn't have anything.
Boycott, divest, sanction. It's the idea that to protest the illegal settlements and generally unethical behavior of the state of Israel, you are opposed to any kind of trade with them. Like any, well, boycott, divest, sanction. I don't really care about the BDS movement, except for, the big dick syndrome movement, which I do subscribe to. I don't really care about BDS that much because I don't think it does anything. I just don't care about boycotts or sanctions. Whatever. That being said, the BDS thing is like, it broadly takes the form of people protesting against Israel, which I am in support of. I don't really care about the interpersonal commercial decisions, But you do know that the BDS thing gets on somebody's nerves because there have been active efforts to illegalize them, like in some parts of the world. Yeah, I think they're considered anti-Semitic in Germany. There have been like universities that have tried to shut them down based on calling them like hate speech or whatever. Also, unfortunately, there's just in the UK there's been attempts to push them out. Yeah, it's pretty bullshit. Yeah. There are some people who are part of the BDS movement who are like actively anti-Semitic, unfortunately, but that's going to be the case with in any like big geopolitical thing like this. There will always be people who follow along for the wrong reasons. I don't think it represents the movement at all. The vast majority of anti-Israeli sentiment in this country, I think, and around the world, it can be rooted in legitimate criticism. And even if there is a lot of anti-Semitic bigotry there, which, I mean, there is a lot of anti-Semitism in the world, that doesn't invalidate the legitimate criticisms. And yes, SDO.
Do with this, it hurts Palestinians in many cases, and I don't believe it hurts the U.S., the Israeli government. But I think in a situation like that, everybody should follow their own conscience, and anyone should have the legal right. When there was an effort to deny people the legal right to boycott, that absolutely would not be okay with me.
I love the work that you do.
I need to go now. Thank you so much.
This is a very serious channel, a very serious political movement. Yeah. What's going on right here? This is definitely how you do an interview of a presidential candidate.
Sabby, honey, I really appreciate talking to you. I know sometimes we don't agree, Sabby, but I always enjoy talking to you, and it's respectful. So anytime you want to talk, I'll absolutely just let me know, okay? And thank you very, very much for having me on.
Ms. Williamson, before you go, I just want to ask you one question while I sit in here.
We got to look.
Okay. What is it going to be?
I don't know if I'm going to answer that.
I know you don't have much time.
No, I already am 10 minutes.
I have time for the proletarian, like we have time for the proletarian.
No, okay, that was so disrespectful to me as a woman, as a political figure. Okay, Sabby, if you ever want to talk, honey, I'll be available to you. Okay.
Okay, get her out. So I can say what I've been wanting to say and itching and saying in the background. She's full of shit.
See, I'm telling you, man. These get. Hey, you know what? I bet you. Hey guys, thanks for the donos. My revolutionary Bidenista YouTube channel makes significantly more than their entire network does promoting DNC talking points. Let's go, lads. We're undoing the work. No, really though, like it's so sad and it's so pathetic. The idea of and this is one of the things I criticize the Chapo Boys to an extent, but these people are like incomparably worse than the Chapo Boys. Though what's her name, Savvy, comes across as a lot smarter than the guys here, so maybe she's a bit better. I think I remember there being some drama on Twitter recently where they argued with her. Does anyone have a clip of that? Where she was arguing with some of the other people there? One way or another, yeah, the guys here are really stupid. And yeah, the idea of just like making your living entirely off of dragging other movements down into the murk with you is just really, really pathetic. They're all acting like jocks. Well, these guys don't actually have an interest in politics. They haven't. This is like, it's like team sports, you know? So jocks is a fitting analogy. It has nothing to do with like, let's work out this situation. Let's understand what the variables are and try to build something that can do the best given those circumstances. It's just like, here's the pin I'm putting in the ground, and I am just going to just yell loudly from this pin at anything around me. It doesn't matter what consequences there are to that. I'm making money off it, and that's my job. Here's Sabby's reaction, apparently.
I mean, because that
we had to win already. Like, we already had to win. Like, I got all the sound bites I wanted in this interview. Like,
damn, he's just straight up admitting it. I got all the sound bites that I wanted in that video. That's it. That's all. Like, that was the only point. Like, literal scum. Just no. How can anyone watch this and think like, yeah, these guys are serious political commentators who care about my interests? These are real lefties. They're fucking actual, yeah, pieces of shit. I respect. It's difficult to think of groups I respect less than these guys. I mean, certainly, like, this is like, we're talking about levels of sterling character that make me look favorably at people like Pete Buttigieg, you know? I can't imagine like admitting that or being stupid enough to not realize what that sounds like. Just like, yeah, dude, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how it went or what we talked about. I got my sound bites. We're good.
Like, we didn't have to do that. We didn't.
No.
Like, I'm really feeling awkward right now. We didn't have to do that. Like, there's a point we literally. I was planning on us doing a break, chat check, and then we can have our thoughts on the interview. Like, we didn't have to do that. That's not the stuff that will make it look good. That's not gonna make us look good.
Did I hit that?
God, Vaush, you were right with the "they're just evil." I was trying to figure out how they're this stupid. Well, in this case, they're both stupid and evil. Though again, I don't know if I've argued with her on Twitter before. I probably have. I get in a lot of fights. However, if she's upset about how the interview went, I think that indicates she has an actual interest in these conversations and not just like, you know, she seems the most sane. Yeah, I would talk to her. Yeah, I would talk to her. I don't know. Probably wouldn't happen, but yeah.
I wasn't even trying to be in there.
I think overall, bro.
I got the sound bites. I want it, man. Like,
Unbelievable.
I am tactical in the way we do stuff.
But when I'm tactical, I get in trouble.
That is not tactical. What we just did, what you guys just did.
I didn't do nothing, Nick. I didn't talk to that woman. I didn't say nothing to that woman, Nick. I just came in.
Twice, man.
Look at her face. She's so mad at them. Oh, dude, she's furious right here. Wait, what is this? 31-23 of a 33-19? So 31-23?
In the way we do stuff. That is not tactical. What we just did, what you guys just did.
I didn't do nothing, Nick. I didn't talk to that woman. I didn't say nothing to that woman, Nick. I just came in.
Twice, man. Like, I'm so like embarrassed right now. Like,
I didn't say nothing.
I'm embarrassed too, to be honest.
like,
Embarrassed about what? About a woman that want to bomb Israel?
Rome, that's not the point.
Let me hear what they're saying, Rome. I can't hear. I can't hear. Let me hear what they're saying.
The thing is like, you can't ambush people like that. Like, we didn't even get to hear the rest of what she was going to say, and Nick didn't get a chance to close out.
You guys forgot about it. I said my next question about Ukraine. You guys ran off and you came in and scared her off.
You scared her off before I got to get a soundbite where I said, so I can't. So is it true that you support the warmongering Raytheon Boeing Lockheed Martin warmonger machine Biden invading Ukraine and preventing Russia from stopping ethnic genocide in the Donbass? Please respond in 2 seconds, please, so I can get my clip.
I didn't say nothing.
Yes, you did.
I didn't say nothing.
You did.
Is this guy like a fucking infant? I didn't say nothing when he jumped into the call with the former presidential candidate, did a laugh, rubbed his hands together, then stood up and started spinning around like a kid in the rain. Is he like actual like an infant brain? Like, is this like an ableism thing? Is this like a group home, or is there like an aide worriedly standing to the side of the camera, like going, we let him on the computer for an hour a day, and no, maybe we should have like put him to a nap first.
Hold on, let me say this.
Gas stove user. Yeah, true.
I was coming in because I was supposed to come in. You guys were saying that this is over. I don't know about Rome, but I was supposed to be coming in to take over the Nick and CJ show, but I guess not. It's fine.
We're gonna have those battles, bro. Some people are gonna have.
It don't matter, Rome. That's not the point. That's not the point. That was not professional. This is exactly what I'm saying. Like, you don't
professional. It's what? Professional.
No, let me finish, Rome. You would not have liked it if it happened to us. You wouldn't have liked it if we were on someone else's show and it was supposed to be certain people, and then people just come in and ambush. Yes, so you got to put yourself.
Dude, she's like holding the fortress up right now. Oh my god. There's an entire like the whole structure of this group, and she's like Atlas, like holding the entire goddamn roof up. Oh my god.
I wouldn't, because you know what? I wouldn't say.
No, you can disagree.
Because you're not talking about. You're not actually talking about support.
You've been on the same panel before as Sabby with Jen Perelman at the same time.
Panel.
You're totally right. I was here. Yeah, this was back like a year and a half ago. with Nina Turner was there briefly. I don't think she was part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network back then.
Israel, you're not
You can
actually talking
disagree
about.
with what
Okay,
people have to
whatever.
say.
I'm done.
You can
I'm
disagree
done.
without
Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead. I'll finish
Dude, the aide at the side of the camera is just like nervously sweating.
out with that. Go ahead, Ron.
I'm done. Because you're not actively talking about supporting the military-industrial
It
complex.
doesn't matter, Ron. We
It
didn't
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm done. I'm done.
Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
I'm done. I'm
Go ahead,
done.
Ron. Go ahead.
Mo saying Hebrew Israel. Is he a Hebrew Israelite?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Jesus
Ron. You can
Christ.
back
Get out of
up.
here.
God damn. That was pretty wild. Imagine having this conversation on a stream too. The fact that she's just like sitting here, like the interview ends, they talk for a bit or whatever, and then like they're doing this live. I oh my God, I would never